General of the Portuguese Federation of Football, Tiago Craveiro. Tiago, we are in Portugal, but it's an international event, so we shall be between English and Portuguese. There are foreign journalists following these sessions.
The first question has to be, Tiago, Portugal right now, as was mentioned in the inauguration ceremony, is reigning European champions, reigning Nations League champions, reigning Euro futsal champions, just to mention three, because there are many other titles right now from the youth sector as well. We have the president of the Portuguese Football Federation in the UEFA Executive Committee. We have you working very closely with UEFA as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's fair to say that this is the golden era of Portuguese football.
Começo em português dizendo bom dia.
In Portuguese, saying good morning to you all. Thanking you all for the opportunity provided by the municipality of Oeiras to host Soccerex, and for what you have provided so that we could become such an important event. I thank you, Rita.
Well, he told me he was going to ask this, so I was ready. I was ready for the first one. And I told him that I was going to answer in 10 seconds. If you want to speak about sports success, invite coaches. I know zero about that. So the merits of the teams are with coaches, players, physicians. We that manage behind just need not to mess it up to try for them to work better. So unfortunately, and I advised you, I was not going to speak much more on this.
You did warn me, and I appreciate you taking a little bit longer than 10 seconds, but you're being a little bit humble because in order to have success on the field, everything around has to be prepared in the best possible way. And I will ask you, because Portugal for many years, and we're all here growing up watching so much talent, but the talent not translated into titles. That has happened now, and it has a lot to do with the structure of the federation.
Yeah, okay.
So I wanted to ask you, how have you, with the reign by Fernando Gomes and the rest of the staff and the administration, been able to create this elite structure to allow the talent to shine and to bring back titles?
Normally I say that what defines you is what you do when you lose. Because we all know how to win. What to do after winning. We celebrate. So my first experience around the national team was in 2014 in Brazil, and it was not a successful one. So we've tried to see what we could do off pitch for them to better develop. And then the president decided that it was time for a new coach also. I remember that we've started the construction of the City of Football 3-4 months after the World Cup. And that's a shifting moment also. But I also need to tell you that living in France with the team for 33 or 34 days also gave me the data that I needed to confirm that the difference between being out of a competition like an Euro or a World Cup on the round of 16 or on the quarterfinals and winning it is like this. So it's not the last 8 of a big tournament are all potential winners. Then there's a line there. But okay, Portugal was in the final at home, 2004. And what should we learn about that moment? Probably that the atmosphere around should be people that were working probably should have calmed down all the atmosphere around the team. It's hard, and we felt it again in France. They probably committed the exact same mistake that Portugal has done in 2004. So they probably went onto the stadium thinking in 2 hours we'll have the trophy. And that's how things worked in here probably in 2004. So yes, there's a difference, and the City of Football makes all the change in that. But I can give you another example. What I felt is that we were quite good in organizing everything around the team. But things were a little bit upside down. So I felt that people were normally in a final tournament looking for a very good hotel for the team. And then they went into looking into a pitch where to train. And we've shifted that. So when in January 2016, previous to the Euro, I went to a training center of the rugby national team in France. The coach was, so what's this? And we've changed some things. It was not a luxury hotel, far from that, but it had very good conditions similar to the ones that we have now in the City of Football. And I feel that makes a difference also.
Well, I wanted to pick up on the Cidade de Futebol and the infrastructure that you have. As you know, I was at UEFA for 4 years. I traveled across the continent. There are 55 national associations. I obviously didn't go to all of them, but I noticed when I came back and I had an opportunity to visit that home of Portuguese football, that it was at the elite level. And I think it would be fair to say that football many times around the world is organized a little bit like an old school administration, whereas the Portuguese Federation has transformed itself into a business. And it has a headquarters for that business. So tell us about that transition that really needed to be made into a new era of football management.
Well, we are small, and that will not change. I don't anticipate that Portugal will start conquering territory from now on. So we will
Those
be
days have passed.
10, 11 million for quite a while. So you always need to go for something that makes you unique. And with which weapons can I fight with? And we found out that knowledge was probably one of them. So we invest a lot in knowledge, to know more, to understand more, to share more around the industry. And so one day, around this concept, we thought, can we have an university? And for 2 years, we've been working on that. And now we have one. More recently, we thought, can we have a TV channel? We worked on that, and we opened one. And from that perspective, we are unique. But in technology also, I don't know if all of you know, but Portugal was the first country in Europe to have video assistant referees. Normally in football, we go behind. So we need to invest a lot more in knowledge, in investigation on this industry in Portugal, and make us distinctive of the others, not because we're big, because we will never be, but because we know more. And probably we do first. So we will make some mistakes on the way, but we will always experiment. So we try to do things different, and believe it or not, today the university, the Portugal Football School, is also a business, and a good one.
Investment in education, technology, media. Normally, if you look at the way football has been managed many times in the past, those would not be the first words and the first priorities for a federation. They have become priorities for you. Tell me a little bit more about the mentality of innovation and also the reasoning for opening Canal 11, which has now been broadcasting for a little bit over 3 weeks?
4 or 5 weeks,
Okay.
but you were outside Portugal probably. I missed something. Before the City of Football, we already had created a special unit of data science that we now have 8 to 10 people working. If they are 10, then 9 are women. By the way, in the Portuguese Football Association, in 2013, we have 17% of women working. Nowadays, I have 46%, and this makes a difference. Also, we need to have everybody around the TV channel. The thing is, we have the technical director of FIFA in one of our courses recently, and one of the number that he spoke about was that only 0.000 something of all the players registered in football associations around the world get once in their lives a professional contract. So, the important thing is the journey from the moment they try till the moment they decide if they go to professionals or if they go into another direction. And nobody is exploring that journey from the 6-year-old kid till the 17, where he needs to decide if he's very good or not and if he's going to be professional or not. And if you think, there are many businesses that are around these ages, from 5, 6 years old till 17. So why not to explore that area and to show what they do? And then another thing, Portugal is sending to other countries many footballers, coaches. We should know more in Portugal about what they do. It's not to export them, but to continue. These last few weeks, we've heard some matches of Olympiacos. They got to the Champions League. The coach is Portuguese. We have heard 2 matches of Almeria with the support of the Spanish league. Second league in Spain. The coach is Portuguese. So follow what they do, know more about them, and if you have a chance, bring them back one day. And so the channel is for that, to show what we do with kids from 6 years old to 17, and with the coaches and the players that are moving to other countries.
I remember sitting in your office close by at Cidade do Futebol before the channel went on air, and you've always been very passionate about this project, and you told me, Pedro, I obviously I care how many people watch, but this is not why we're doing this. We're doing this because the country needs to see football as a force for good.
Yeah.
And we need to encourage participation, and participation with boys and girls.
Football is expensive, and we all need to be aware of that. And so I live in a country where you need to spend more than, João, 50 euros per month to watch all football. And the minimum wage in Portugal is 600 euros. So I can say that in Portugal, I'm not saying that it's like that all around, but in Portugal, you need to have, if you need to spend 50 euros or more to have all football, then you need a high involvement with a small number of people that can afford this. And from my point of view, high involvement with a few, it's golf. It's not football. So we need to do something, make football affordable for everybody, and even for small kids that like to see each other. and make it more popular. I think that Portugal would deserve, Pedro, we didn't speak about this, but you know my opinion. I think it's a mistake that Portugal doesn't have at least one of the matches of the first league, Liga NOS, in an FTA, in a free-to-air platform. I think if we close it all, then we will probably not climb the mountain as quick as we should.
There has been obviously a huge transition in the way that people consume football, and most people watch it on their mobile screens rather than their TV screens, or they use the TV screens to project what's on their mobile devices, and this is of course one of the reasons why Federation, UEFA, also started an OTT platform. How do you see the future of football consumption? In 5 or 10 years, how do you think the generations of today, the kids of today, will be consuming football?
Can I risk it? We've been speaking about. The best business of all is the one that you own alone. So I feel that in future, either we address the piracy issue all around the world, or we probably need to get into an agreement where there's only one owner that shares the part to each market. So if you ask me if one time there will be a football flicks or something like that, I believe it can happen. But I also believe that it's tricky because I'm looking into the audience and I have people that think quite different, but it's also good to have that perspective. But I think that not only TVs will probably stop buying football one of these days. So distributors will probably buy them. On another era, probably Apple will buy them, or Samsung will buy them, or any other company. And then I'm scared because you said there were international media here, but and I'm a journalist. But I don't know if one day Apple decides to buy, and then you need an Apple device to see football. It also can happen. So in 10 years, no clever person can anticipate what will happen, but before that, it will happen something, quite before the 10 years.
Let's stay with the technology topic, but move over to esports. The Federation were also very quick to invest in this market, in this realm. What are your opinions about esports? How is it growing, and what's, in your opinion, what's the role of football in esports? Because it's also a little bit of a competitor to traditional football.
No. So to be humble enough to understand that in the past, kids would buy Pro Evolution Soccer or FIFA because they loved football. Now, probably some of them see football because they play FIFA or they play Pro Evolution Soccer. So things are mixed. I don't have a principle against it. We need to include everybody, and inclusion is to. I don't know what's different between an athlete of esports or a chess player. So probably they can be in the family of football. No, there's no big difference. And the ones that I've seen playing are quite fitted. They understand the number of hours that they need to play. The better players in the world are athletes, actually. So, yeah, I think international organizations, UEFA needs to invest more on this. FIFA started long ago. If I needed to point one thing that FIFA did well in the past, I would say esports.
Mentioning FIFA and UEFA, and I talked about it in the beginning of the session, how it's a privilege for Portugal, and it's hard work for Portugal to have someone on the executive committee. You yourself have been involved in these circles for quite a few years now as well, helping on the first presidential campaign of Gianni Infantino for FIFA, then being very close with the UEFA president as well, Alexander Ceferin. Talk a little bit about what Portugal's role is in world football, how Portugal has gained more influence at UEFA, and what kind of work do you support the president as well in his strategy for European football?
Well, I remember that back in 2014, the president decided to get in Fernando Santos, and he was suspended for 8 matches after a simple thing that he has done in the World Cup. And there was a process in FIFA, and I needed to check if he had a chance to reduce those matches of suspension. And I've called the Secretary General of FIFA, and it took him 6 days to answer my call. So I remember I got into the office of my president and I said, "Do you realize that nobody cares about us?" And from that moment started the Luís Figo campaign for FIFA. And I remember that my president told me on the day that we've presented Figo, Sepp Blatter called me, and I said, "Okay, it's working." So people are realizing that we exist now. And from that, you know what happened in summer 2015.
2015, yeah.
Michel called me to help on his campaign for FIFA, and then everybody knows the story. And yes, we've worked a lot with Gianni for his campaign, with a Portuguese team of Portuguese people from here. And to speak about resilience and what defines us, I will underline that 1 month before the election of Gianni Infantino, exactly 1 month, 26th of January 2016, on his presentation, out of 211 presidents that would vote, there was only one in the room. It was Fernando Gomes. Not even the English FA president, and we were presenting at Wembley, was there. 1 month after, he won the election. So when we believe on the process, we shouldn't go out of the room and say this is lost. So before that, how did I get to know? It was on the Nations League process. So for me, it was quite, coming from different areas gives us probably the capability of saying this is completely wrong and nobody will kill us. So I said, listen, the balance between clubs and national associations, we have friendly matches in March. They are all playing their leagues, and all of a sudden we take the players for 10 days to play a friendly match in Gabon. It's crazy. One day this will stop. So let's gather these dates on a competition and do it by tiers. So, and I remember to say that nobody is, because of something that one of my coaches told me, you don't educate champions losing. But in Europe, there was still, in Europe and in the world, is still the idea that everybody can play against everybody, and that's a pink idea. But if you, when I defended the creation of the Nations League and draw the competition, the question is, what do you give to football if you put, with all due respect, Faroe Islands playing against Spain? Will it do any good to Spanish football and to Faroe Islands? No. So we're playing, and the first edition was quite good, even for Portugal.
Yeah.
But you play in the first, second, third, and fourth division, and it works. So that was the main moment where I got to know people. And yes, more recently, I've been working more in a huge surprise, because I didn't know him well, but yes, I'm working close with Alexander on some projects around future of competitions, and I think that also that project will get into an happy end, because everybody is being giving ideas onto the table, and in the end, when the project will be voted, it will be far better than the idea and the concept it was in the beginning. And so nowadays, much with the work of our president being in the ExCo of FIFA, in UEFA, probably Portugal has now the same value on the pitch and off pitch. We didn't have that in 2014, definitely.
I just have a couple of more questions before we wrap this session. The first has to do with what you think is your main objective for the Portuguese Football Federation, and in the work that you do with UEFA as well, looking ahead to the future of football. If you could have one goal achieved over the next years, what is your priority to achieve?
Well, in Portugal, definitely, and the channel has that objective. In Portugal, to have more girls and boys playing. That's how we will actually see if the channel was successful or not. So if I have an average of growth of 4% a year, and if I climb to 8% or to 9%, it is a cheap instrument. Internationally, I normally like to ask to end things like this with questions and not with answers. So, if you allow me, I will end this with some questions. A few days ago in Monaco, we had a chance to see and hear Messi and Ronaldo speaking with each other. And then your colleague asked them, what were you speaking about? And the part that they could reveal, they said we were speaking about sharing a stage for 15 years. So I ask, Messi and Ronaldo, both of them, what have they done to football in the last 15 years? If we close our eyes and we are comfortable enough, if tomorrow they give a press conference and they say, we will shift to golf tomorrow, we'll stop football tomorrow, and we go play golf together. Tomorrow is tomorrow. Is football ready for this? If we feel that we are not, then probably they are performing better than the industry of football. Then, esports. When, from an investment perspective, sponsors, when will they start taking money from the real football? Live transmissions of virtual football seem quite real. And if I sit on the couch for 1 hour looking at a match that my kid is playing, I will probably stay when the players are far better than a 9-year-old kid is. So we need to try to understand. Then look into stadiums and see, do we like the average age of people that go into live matches? Is it climbing or decreasing? If it's climbing a lot, we have a problem. Because it's not only that kids from 6 years old to 12, 13, 14, they look into only with devices. They don't see football for 90 minutes. And so these 3 questions, Messi and Ronaldo, if they stepped away from football immediately, are we ready? The average age in stadiums and the shift of investment to virtual football are probably very good examples of things that we don't think a lot about, but that we should think more.
Tiago, I think that's a really good place to end, even though I did have another question. We're wrapping up time here as well. It was a pleasure to get your insight, learn more about the work that the Portuguese Football Federation has been doing, and also your thoughts about the future of international football. Pleasure. Thank you very much. Tiago Craveiro.